Hi there. So it's been 2 months since I've been living on campus, and I've been living with four other flatmates of mine. It's been 2 years since I've been living with other people outside of my family. The last time I did that was back in my undergrad, and that was like 2 years ago. So it's been quite an interesting experience. And one thing when you're living with other people outside of your family, you definitely notice their living habits. And one of the things that I noticed about my flatmates is their energy consumption. For instance, one of the things that I've noticed is our water consumption. So I tend to like to turn the tap on its minimum, and I'll rinse my stuff and I'll turn the tap off and I'll put it on the drying rack, and I'll turn the tap on again, rinse more stuff, and so on. Whereas for my roommates, it's definitely different because they like to turn the tap on its maximum, and they'll rinse the stuff and they'll leave the tap running while they put the stuff on the drying rack. Another thing that I've noticed is the difference in our electricity consumption. So I do like to turn the lights off after I'm done using them, or if I don't think it's necessary, but for some reason my flatmates, they do like to leave the lights on a lot for some reason. But that definitely got me thinking a lot about our energy consumption. So let's start off with water consumption. I found this incredibly interesting because Australia is the driest continent on Earth, and yet Australians are the biggest per capita consumers in the world. In terms of indoors, the biggest energy users are typically the showers, so that constitutes about 34%, followed by toilets, which is 26%, and laundry, which is 23%. And for outdoor water usage, it typically constitutes 40% of household water. So let's take a look at electricity consumption as well. So on average, household appliances and equipment account for 1/3 of household energy use. And the biggest electricity individual users are refrigerators and televisions. Other than that, home entertainment and office equipments, they account for 10% of electricity use just for being in standby mode. And finally, the biggest chunk of our household energy bill would be heating and cooling. That accounts for 38% of our household energy bills. So I think an average person, if they're hearing about these facts, or if anybody's hearing about these facts, we all know that we're supposed to be cutting out energy consumption. But I think that people aren't doing it as much because they don't realize how big of an impact each action is. And maybe it's because they're not seeing the impact of their actions. So it got me thinking because, of the lectures of smart cities, it got me thinking about smart homes. I'm not really a proponent of smart cities, but that's another argument on its own. I'm definitely a proponent of smart homes because it definitely tracks the usage of your stuff, and you do get to see the impacts of your energy usage. So I'm not sure if you guys have this in Australia, but in Canada, for most homes, our heating and our cooling system allows us to change our temperatures throughout the day. So I could set the temperature from 7:30 to 5:30 at 19 degrees while I'm away at work, and then at 5:30 it would change itself to 21 degrees while I'm back at home, which is why I think these smart home devices are pretty cool, because if your heating and cooling system doesn't give you the option to program your temperature throughout the day, these smart home devices allow you to do that. And not only are you saving energy and you're helping the environment, in the end, it saves you a lot of money because, like I've mentioned earlier on, heating and cooling system makes up the biggest chunk of your household energy bills. What's really cool about these smart home devices is that it lets you divide your homes up into different sections. And what you can do about that is you could choose to regulate temperatures of certain sections of the house and not waste energy on the other sections of the house. And this is really great for large homes because for large homes, honestly, it takes up too much energy and resources to regulate the temperature of the entire house. And I really think that these smart home devices, they could play a huge role in cutting individual households' GHG emissions. On top of that, these smart home devices let you know when the optimal times are for you to use your electrical appliances. Because like I've mentioned, electrical appliances definitely take up a large chunk of your electricity bill. You could also install motion sensors, so you're only using electricity when you're using that particular room. And you're probably wondering, how much of a difference do these smart home devices actually make? Well, apparently for a device like Nest, in 3 years they've saved 1.4 billion kilowatts per hour. That's enough to power 135,000 American homes per year. What's interesting is that there's a study out there saying that these smart home devices are going to outgrow smartphones or tablets by 2019, and this is for worldwide, and that the market will reach $490 billion. It'll be actually very interesting to see whether this comes true, and it's definitely a great thing because it makes us more energy efficient and we're definitely more environmentally friendly. But it's funny because I have not seen one single person whom I know who actually have these devices. So who are these people who are buying these products? Would I buy it? Obviously, I think I will buy it. When I own my first home, I think it's not too bad. $200, $300, install it, and I'll save a lot of cost in the long run. In this day and age, especially for my generation, we're always tracking something. Like if you're a fitness freak, you're going to be tracking your heart rate, how many steps you've taken per day, how many miles you've walked. If you're like a health freak, you're going to be tracking how many calories did you eat, what kind of foods do you eat. People are even using apps to track their finances to see where their money is going and what they're actually spending on. And these smart home devices, they're just an extension of that. It's really great because for most of us, we're so busy going about with our everyday lives. It's really difficult for us to be conscious and to actually think about the impacts of every little action that we make. And these apps, they help us. They collect all the information and they break it down for you, showing you the opportunities to save energy and to save costs as well. So in conclusion, I think that everybody should have a smart home device because not only do they tell you what your consumption patterns are, they tell you how you can change it. And they're definitely tackling one of the biggest GHG emitters, which is residential household energy use. So it makes us more environmentally friendly, and guess what? It also saves you lots of money. So that's my opinion on smart homes. I hope that you enjoyed it. Stay awesome. Bye.